in people's hearts. So Vati basically becomes the bad guy in Minish Cap, right? Once he turns into a dark wind god, he then becomes the bad guy to Four Sword 1, which you could play in the Game Boy Advance via the Link to the Past Game Boy Advance port, or you could play the special edition one on the 3DS if you got it like myself back in the day. And then he shows up after the split in Four Sword Adventures. For the longest time, I thought Vati was older than Ganondorf, and now that we know that the ancient past from Tears of the Kingdom could possibly, very likely, be before Minish Cap, but after Skyward Sword, at least to my thinking, Ganondorf would be older than Vati. But this would also mean that we haven't seen the true power or true form of Vati. Ganondorf is older than Vati. Yeah, from what we saw with Tears of the Kingdom, Ganondorf is older than Vati. And for all we know, that convergence idea that I came up with, that the entire timeline is within a self-contained loop. Like, think of the R being the 3 timeline splits in the unified timeline, from Minish Cap all the way to Zelda 2, Four Sword Adventures, and Spirit Tracks. All of that being contained within a loop. And the only things outside of this loop are Skyward Sword, loop, end of the loop, Tears of the Kingdom. The entire timeline would be self-contained within this loop. And the only 2 games that are not within the loop is the thing that starts it and the thing that ends it. All of the space-time, dimension hopping, time traveling, and everything is within the loop. But yeah, Ganondorf would be way older at that point than Vati. That also means, like, villains like Vati, Majora, Malladus, Bellum, etc. That would mean we haven't seen their true power, or their true forms at this point then. Imagine it like this, all of the previous games within this loop. You could think of it like a dream world, you could think of it like a simulation, you could think of it like the Silent Realm, but they were all basically trials and ways for Ganondorf to think of how he could win, how he could lose, and what could be different if he sent in someone or something else. Science, brain, neurons are activating that in 3D looks like DNA. Exactly. If we go back to my Theory 1 video that I released like a year or 2 ago, I did show like a 3D, like a really shitty 3D model that I made of the timeline. But there's also that possibility of there could be a split in Skyward Sword. Anybody who hasn't played this game, seen this game, this could be major spoilers, but at the end of the game, Bruce and Link go through the Gate of Time to save Zelda. At that very moment, that is the very last time they go through the Gate of Time. The reason being is, since they went back in time, fought Demise, killed him, not really killed him, but killed him, and he cursed both Link, Zelda, and anybody associated with them, they have altered the events of the past, rewriting their present. Meaning, when they go back home, talk to old Impa, and put the Master Sword back in the pedestal, that is a rewritten present for them. Their original time frame, existence, etc. still exists. But they can't go back. What they left alone was old Impa, an open gate of time, and the Triforce on the surface, with Demise, aka the Imprisoned, killed in the present, but nobody can go back. Meaning that Zelda, Link, and Groose, the 3 people who look like the hero, the goddess, and Ganondorf, the 3 people who technically started it, are tied within their own new reality. Their original reality they can't go back to. The Triforce is unprotected. That would cause the interloper war on the backside of everything that's happening on the front. Only when the child timeline has been created does this backside, where the Triforce is untouched, old Impa is alone, there is no hero anymore, and the Triforce is open to all, causing an interloper war being the backstory for the child timeline. Basically, what I came up with a while ago was, like, if the Skyward Sword split is real, then it's the backstory for the child timeline, aka the creation of Majora, the Interloper War, and the story of the Ancients, as well as the Interlopers. I still have to write it out a little bit better, but it was either Laurulian or Rinkudo or someone on Reddit way back in the day, like a few years back, who originally came up with this. And I wanted to expand a little bit on it because I saw that Bandit went ahead and made a video about that a while back. So I want to expand on it. Just to give, like, a personal view of, like, hey, it's possible. It's, like, really possible that a Skyward Sword split could have happened this whole time, and it could have led up to being the child timeline. Because the only time we ever saw the timeline created was in a 2D format, like in Hyrule Historia, 2D on paper, then on the internet, 2D on paper. Like I said, I made a really half-assed, quick-made version of a 3D model of the timeline, and kind of made sense. Okay, there you go. So we have 3 more cubes. What's up, Impa? And honestly, the way that Impa looks now, especially if old Impa is left alone, there's your Chamberlain. I still say she's the Chamberlain. Might be a personal kind of headcanon, sure, but with how the timing and the wording is done and all that, and with Impa literally being the first person and only person until she teaches us and Zelda about time travel and all that, nobody knows. And that's what's crazy about it. Like, I know that Goddess Hylia did not save every single human in the past. So the only logical thinking is, okay, so what happened to the other humans? A good portion of them died to the demons, and a good portion of them went into hiding. Those humans that went into hiding did not turn into Hylians, because they weren't saved by Hylia and went to Skyloft and then came back and became Hylians, and they didn't die. They went into hiding, underground. Probably learned some magic over time and documented what happened on the surface. A faction of those survivors would go on to leave the underground and then go to the abandoned sky. Those people would be called Zonai. They would be mutated out from their human form into some kind of dragon or fox-looking form. The other portion of people would still be underground, hiding. That first one, called Zonai, well, we already know what happened to them. Not really, but we could kind of guess. So what of these other people? The ones that are still underground? Those would be the interlopers, and ancient ones, who made Majora's Mask and possibly the Fierce Shadow at the same time. They were the ones that were banished into the Twilight Realm, thus becoming Twilight. Kind of fixes the whole discrepancy of Zonai can't be Twilight, then fine. There was no way that Hylia saved everyone, though, realistically. So then you gotta think, well, okay, faction of them were saved by Hylia, faction of them died. Faction of them went into underground hiding. And then that underground hiding gets split. Or one of the half of underground stays underground and the other ones turn into Zonai. Because the Zonai have the ties underground anyway, so it kind of fits. Kind of fits. Damn it. Sorry, Captain, but you ain't got no support no more. Nice. Oh, you dropped a skull. What a skull. No, we're not going to do the rupee mining minigame because that thing's just... I'm not a big fan of that minigame, plus there's not really anything of value once you win. Nice. Another 40. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's that? I do need to get me a 4-on grasshopper or two. Or it's too late. So I'll probably do that on the next BRB. Because on the next BRB, I'm gonna... Yeah. So on the next BRB, I'll go on a Faron, get a Faron grasshopper too, and then switch the game over to Mario RPG. Go, go, go.